morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm really glad and proud to be there, and I would like to thank the organizers of this conference, and especially my friend Dr. Bakr for inviting me. It is the first conference that we have in the Middle East. I hope that we will have something similar in Europe, also well organized as this one, so maybe in the near future we can talk about that. Today, I will talk about the halal market. I just look at the list of the papers. We have roughly 10 presentations about food and specifically about halal. So it shows that the market is not anymore a niche market. Of course, it is not becoming a mainstream market as we hope it to be, but it is continuing very well. In order to talk about the halal market, I will address two types of issues. On one side, I will talk about the opportunities, and I will also talk about threats. Of course, the market is growing, so we have some very strong potential for the market, but we cannot at the same time forget about the threats existing for this development. So we talk about the place of halal in the Islamic business today, misconceptions, and the huge potential and the main problems. Concerning the first one, the place of halal in Islamic business is quite important. I will talk about figures later on. Just in order to have some figures in mind, I'm coming from France, and as you know, France is very well known for luxury goods and products. The luxury market today represents about $145 billion a year, while the halal market alone, concerning meat, represents $660 billion. Students, these are also the results of empirical survey that we may have. As it has been mentioned before, there is no standard concerning halal food. I mean by a world standard. We can have standards in various countries. So far, the ASEAN countries, meaning Malaysia and others, produced a certain body of standards concerning halal food, but we are very far away from one codified standard which may happen for the whole world. So this is why the misconceptions also exist. Since we don't have a common standard, how could we expect that people in the street would identify immediately what is halal food? What is striking is that very often when we talk about halal food, we don't in fact talk about halal. We talk about haram, saying what is forbidden. And we don't talk about halal, that is everything which is non-forbidden. So when we compare the size of haram against halal, halal is much bigger than haram is. However, the misconception in the Western countries is that we put very much emphasis on the haram side and not on the halal one, which is, of course, much, much bigger. I would also like to mention another term, which is taib, which is of very much interest to Western countries. So when we talk about sustainable development, when we talk about fair trade, when we talk about organic food, etc., all these elements are very well known in the West, and they're fitting with what we understand by the term taib. So going in pairs, that is halal and taib, maybe it would be an interesting way concerning Western countries. Concerning the opportunities are quite huge. These figures come usually from the Pew World Forum or from the CIA World Factbook concerning the number of Muslims living worldwide. So we will have a lot of information about that. Since we don't have clear statistics, especially in Western countries, we can just guess about the number of Muslims living worldwide. And here are the figures concerning the halal market. The figures come from Qasidia, which is one of the best-known marketing and research consultancy organizations from Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia. So every year for the World Halal Forum, they produce new figures about the estimated size of the halal market. So if we add all this up, we are coming to the figure about $641 billion a year, and these are the latest figures coming from the year 2010. Concerning France, since I'm coming from France, this is the largest market for halal food in Europe because we have the largest Muslim population in Europe. The figures come from one of the very few marketing agencies dealing with ethnic marketing in France. So this is called Solis. These are the latest figures, talking about 4.5 billion euros in 2010, only for home consumption, to which we have to add 1 billion euros for out-of-home consumption, meaning in restaurants and other places. Concerning the growth of the market, I will just mention the innovations, because this is also the driving force which is coming from the companies. And we will look at some, I would say, peculiar things. The innovations mainly come from Asia. For instance, here you have a certain number of brands dealing with halal water. We talk about mineral water. And this is a controversial issue because many people would say, how does it come that water is halal? That is, meaning, how can we certify halal mineral water? But in Asia, and especially here, you have a certain number of companies launching mineral water. In the center, I put Danone, the French brand. So the French brand also has a halal mineral certified water. Here you have Colgate, you have other people dealing with toothpaste. And here we have very famous person, maybe you know Jackie Chan. So Jackie Chan is intervening for some traditional Chinese medicine, and this traditional Chinese medicine is also halal certified. So it means that there is practically endless possibilities, and one of the latest examples is this one. This is halal porcelain, meaning halal tableware. It's the first time that I saw this. So we also wonder, how far would it go? If we consider that it is an endless market, in that case, we can certify everything. But I don't think that we can go so far. So in any case, as you mentioned before, and as Dr. Bakr mentioned concerning the moral point of view, the question is, what are the moral boundaries concerning this? That is, can we certify tables? Can we certify wood? Can we certify everything? So in that case, if we don't have regulations, that is, if we don't have standards about halal certifications, there would be certainly a need concerning moral boundaries for the certification. Concerning prices, this is explaining why halal is so interesting. As Dr. Bakr mentioned, at the end of the day, we talk about figures. At the end of the day, we talk about profits. Here you have a comparison given by Euromonitor International concerning the spread, that is the difference in prices. So you can find out why so many people are interested in the halal business, because the margins are so high that nobody can resist. So this is why Nestle, this is why other Western companies are so interested in the business, and probably in the future they will continue